Hello, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals. And we love to invite experts on to help us. And that's why I'm very excited that Lance Belline, Lance Belline, I'm going to start that again so the editor can take it out. And that's why I'm so happy that Lance Belline is with us today. Lance has 2 decades of experience as a financial advisor, and he spent that time like fine tuning his life purpose or his purpose in helping people, which is to develop lifelong relationships with his clients and giving them what I think we all need, which is that financial confidence, right? Sometimes we get opportunities, we get situations, and we could totally jump on them and have a great experience, except we're like, oh, do I really know enough? I hear people say that. I don't think I know enough about my money. I don't know how money works. I don't know if I should do this or that. So, and Lance has recently written a book, which is almost published. It's waiting to be published, which helps families and individuals to achieve financial independence and to prepare for retirement. When he's not working, Lance has a philosophy of 3 rules: God, family, and work. And I hope in that order. And he loves spending time with his wife and 3 kids while doing physical things like golfing, snow and water skiing, and CrossFit, which sounds like work. I actually did this killer workout this morning. I started this fitness regiment, which is definitely what, the military implication of regiment felt like it today. It was all resistance training. And I thought, I feel pretty good right now, but I know tomorrow I'll be like, oh, I can't possibly get up.
Yeah.
Lance, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm really excited to hear all the wisdom you have to share with us.
Yeah. Thank you, Christine, for having me.
So financial advising, it's funny because when I was in school, I don't know if any of us realize, and maybe you did realize, and you can tell me this, that if you understand how money works, then it's like another language that you've just learned, and it opens up so many doors. Did you always know that you wanted to be a financial advisor?
I did not. I'm always amazed when I meet young adults, and some of them who've been interning with my company over the years, and they kind of have a vision of what they want to become. So I was not that. I was, I would just say maybe some divine intervention got me into this industry, not because I knew what I wanted it to do. So I graduated from the University of Arkansas, and I would say I graduated not with the best GPA, and I didn't intern at the right firms in order to, help start a career path. I worked at a lumber yard all through college, and so that was a, good experience, made money, but it didn't prep me well for a career. And so I realized that when you don't have great grades, you're not well networked, sales positions are usually the only interviews you could get. And so this individual said I could be a financial advisor. I thought that sounded intriguing. I didn't know really what it was or what it entailed. He made sure that I took this personality test that said that I would not be afraid to talk with people, which wasn't true. And I knew a lot of people, which wasn't true. So that's how I got my start in the industry. And fortunately, I guess when my first person I prospected said yes to me, and if he would have said no, right, or would have turned me away, I might not have continued. But when I got that first yes, I'm like, okay, I guess maybe I can do this.
Yeah. So, hey, this is easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's true. It's interesting because an early success, right? It just sets you up and you think, okay, it's possible. Whereas if the first 20 people you talk to all said, oh, no, you would have thought this is impossible. I can't do it. I just don't have an aptitude for it. But
yeah. And so it wasn't until much later. So, in this industry, right, you're a lot of prospecting, right, in order to build a clientele. And so I would say I didn't really understand my purpose and know why I was doing what I was doing until much later. Even after I became a certified financial planner, about 5 years into this career, it's when I started my company, Lighthouse Financial, I think back in 2009, and I was really evaluating why am I doing this? What is the, real purpose going to be? And, I look back, and I had a great upbringing. My mom and dad had an older sister, younger brother, and we were always kind of taught you need to work, right, and provide for yourself. And I was the only one of us, though, that always thought about and saved my money from the very beginning, and always thought about what it should be used for. And so I bought half of my first car, for example. I always had a kind of a goal in mind. And I realized my sister and my brother did not do that. They still don't do it. And for some reason, it's always come natural for me, right, to think about finances as far as just having a purpose for it. Save for what? And so it's not, as I think that's the minority, not the majority. And so I'm just trying to use kind of my God-given skill set to help people with some of those financial decisions that doesn't come natural to them, right? And it's hard for them to think a year from now versus let alone 10 years or 20 or 30. And so that's kind of, for some reason, that's been my makeup just from birth, I guess, as far as just kind of always having a saving mentality and thinking about money, how it should be used.
Yeah. It's interesting because you need that use. I know so many people say, oh, what's your goal? Oh, I need to have $1 million. And that, I don't know about anyone else. I can't get excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe if I saw, myself approaching that number, but if you're starting at zero as a young person, or at, $100 in the bank as a young person, and you're thinking, oh, I just have to save. And now I think it's more like $4 or $5 million they want you to have if you're going to be like a fire person, how can you just can't stay motivated. Whereas if you have a goal of like what that money means, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
how do you help people to set financial goals for themselves?
Yeah, I think that comes down to finding out what's important to them in life, and also what has influenced them to this point, right? Positive experiences, negative experiences, but we've all been molded somewhat and shaped. And so sometimes I'm working with individuals because they're motivated to get a plan in place for their future because they experienced what that was not like growing up.
Right.
Either being raised by, a separated household or a single parent where finances were a struggle. For example, my wife falls into that boat. She remembers vividly, the lights not coming on when she got to the house. Remembers vividly the water not coming on. And so what money to her is, right, it provides security, right? It provides a pillow or a blanket so that comforts her. It's not about accumulating. It's about, am I going to have enough?
Yeah.
And so that would be like, one side of it. And the other side would be where somebody that has experience because of great mentorship by their parents or grandparents, and they taught them about money. And so they're motivated because they want to replicate that for their children. And want to help be good stewards, with their monies. And so I find if you know what a person's experience has been in the past, understand what their motivation is, then you can tie in a plan that's going to speak to them.
Yeah.
And therefore motivates them to put things into place to accomplish their financial goals.
Lance, you bring up a great point, and maybe you did it inadvertently, but the idea of getting kids excited about money and saving and understanding how money works. I mean, have you done that with your own children? Are they old enough to do that?
I find I have more success with my clients' children than mine. It's that old adage.
They probably listen to you more, right?
I'm just dad, right? A dad. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I try to teach. I'm more successful also with my children's friends. So I usually will have financial discussions when their friends are there because their friends will ask me things or be intrigued. So I definitely try to throw in some nuggets there. But I find it's a huge benefit for myself to work with my clients' children. And I'd love to do that because the number one element to, I would say, accumulating wealth is time.
Yes.
And that is just what it is. There's nothing you can't replicate it. You lose it, right? And so getting somebody to save when they're 18 or 19 has a huge impact on their success as far as how much money they accumulate versus if they wait till 25 or wait till 30, which is normal, right? That's normal,
right?
mentality.
Yeah, you want to get out of school and do your thing, and yep, that's very normal.
And so it's I have it in my book. One of my sons, he's a senior, but his best friend mows yards, and we started putting money in a Roth IRA for him when he was 18. And I just showed him the title of that book is called Mowing for Millions, because he will be a millionaire by just saving 6 years while he was going through college. And he was kind of dumbfounded to that. Like, if he could save $30,000 over 6 years and then save any more money just because of compounding interest, that would make him a millionaire. And for him, that was a motivation because he liked that terminology, right? I'm going to be a millionaire. And so it's something that I think we're a little backwards in society, and I'm trying to influence people to think different. It's generally speaking, people would save, they would grow their wealth, they would preserve their wealth, and then they would pass away and you would inherit it. And that's still the mentality today. And parents do not talk finances with their children generally. It's taboo to talk about money. But what I've seen real success in is when the families are really passing on their financial wisdom to their children at a young age, getting them a checking account, getting them a credit card with a low limit, helping them know what financing is. And it has been a huge impact as far as what I've seen some family successes. And I think we could, like paying for college education, for example. When you get married, have a child, and you should start saving right away, but you're broke. You're just making ends meet, right? And you don't have that $400 or $500 a month. Or if you did, it would have a tremendous impact on you. But a grandparent could pluck down $30,000 or $40,000 up front, and that education is paid for. And so that's to me smart money, right? When you're paying for $200,000 of college costs potentially with only $30,000 or $40,000, and then it allows the young parents to actually be able to enjoy life a little bit and not socking it all the way for junior to go to college. So I think we just need and I think that could be done with grandparents and their grandchildren a lot more than it is right now. And then they can see the gifting money while you're alive, you get to see them benefit from it. You get to see them enjoy it. And so I think it's a mentality that I'd like to encourage people to change. If they are older, to not wait until they're passed in order for wealth to transfer to the next generation. How do we use that to create a family a unit that is generous and charitable? And we think about ways that we can give our money away versus whether it's to the next generation or to other charitable organizations, I think would be a lot of fun. My parents never asked me, hey, what charitable organization do you want to give money to? But if they would have had that discussion, I'd have been, I didn't know that's what we're supposed to do with our money.
Right.
And I think it'd be nice if they told me to be generous. That is generally what you would just call tithing, right, to a church. But I think there's a lot more unique ways that you could encourage younger generations of how to be generous with what they've been receiving.
Absolutely. And not just money, right? Toys you no longer want, and, things that that someone else could benefit from. And then you start to understand how good that feels.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes kind of addictive, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, whether it's it doesn't have to be money, but it could also be your time.
Yes.
Right. And donate, spending time at different organizations, and you definitely probably have a better appreciation for what you have.
So true. Another thing that I was thinking of when you were talking about the whole college education piece of it is I know a lot of parents struggle with that decision. Like, should I be putting money away for my retirement, or should I be saving for my child's education? Do you have an opinion about that?
Yes, I think I would always encourage, generally speaking, I'd say yes to do that and to start early. But again, it becomes a personal decision, because I have some clients who have paid for themselves to go through college and have valued that experience.
Yeah.
And they think that actually taught them to be a good steward of their money, and they want their children to experience that.
Yeah.
And then I have some that have done that, and they're like, it was so hard. I definitely don't want to do that to my children. I want to allow them to enjoy school, because I didn't enjoy school. And so again, it comes back to that personal conviction and understanding, two people can have experience the same life path, but have different opinions of how they want to pass that forward to their next generation.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the perspective of thinking of, if you have a limited amount of money that you can save, is it more important to save for your own retirement or save for your child's education? Is that?
I would say retirement first.
Retirement first. Yeah. Because of that, right? The magic of compounding interest. And
and I mean, it is. I don't know if I would want to invest, have my retirement depend on my children's success after they graduate college.
Right. Remember me? I need some food over here.
Yeah. You're debt free because of me. I need a monthly income now.
Right. Exactly. You can love your kids and have a lot of faith in them, but that's kind of a lot to ask, right?
That would be a lot to ask. I would be, for sure.
Definitely. Interesting. So when people are like just starting out, and it seems like money, like you don't ever have enough, right? When you're first starting out, you can feel, especially if you have student loan debt and all that kind of stuff, it can feel like you just never quite have enough. Do you have, like, I don't know how to say tricks, but tools that you give people so that they can feel confident putting away some money that is actually going to help them, that can allow them to grow, rather than, as you said, postponing it until they're 30 or 35 or whenever they feel like, okay, I finally have extra money, which I think is a myth for many people, right?
Yeah. I think because when you start off with saving and investing, it starts so slow, right? You save $1,000 and you make 10% interest. And so you got $1,100 at the end of the year. And you're like, what good is this going to matter? And so I think if you don't show them, when it's worth, $1 million, or, you don't start there, but the 10,000, right? The 1,000 grow, makes $100, and then the 10,000 will make $1,000, and the 100,000 will make 10,000. It's just kind of showing that down the long term, and then showing that if they just wait 5 years, what the impact is on them, or if they wait 10 years. And I think when you do that, people will go, oh, right, and a light bulb will come on. So I always encourage people, sometimes when they invest, they think there should be immediate, I don't know, impactful rewards, and there is not. It's just boring, really. And not to get too, and they're going to think it's not it's not, it's just, is this worth it? And you have to kind of show them the big picture in order to get that mentality, so they don't make that mistake.
Yeah, it is so easy. I know I was not very smart as a young person, and I don't even know, I could probably say young right up until 40 or maybe even 50. I wasn't that smart, but every time I would leave a job, I would like take my 401k, I just cash it in, because I'm like, oh, it's not very much anyway. Right. It's only it's like, $7,000. What's the big deal? I might as well just cash it in and take it, instead of having to deal with all this paper that I have to fill out to keep it, and that's just completely not understanding what the impact of that is, right? If I would have even just left that $7,000 in there, right, for 25 years old, then life could be a little different, I mean, it just.
Yeah. It would have probably, right, the 7 have grown to 14, the 14 to 28, the 28 to 56, and probably the 56 to 108, right? And so you don't think about throwing away 108,000 when you decided to cash in your 7,000.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm thinking, is that if people understand that, that chart, right? We used to put in $100 today turns into this much tomorrow. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I just deposited, instead of saying I just, deposit $100 because I skipped going out to dinner twice with my friends, which felt like a huge sacrifice. Like, I actually deposited X amount in my future retirement account. Now that feels good, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's also a misunderstanding too about people saying I don't make enough, or therefore I can't save.
Yeah.
And Morgan, one of my people in my firm that works for me, she's has 2 children. She every meal for lunch, she brings it in, right? Versus going out to eat.
Yeah.
And people don't think that's, which again, I have her an example in my book. She's paying for their education because $10 a day is savings, times 5 is $50 a week, is $200 a month. And now, her son's education is going to be 80% paid for. And I doubt that very seriously she's going to look back when her son's going to college. She goes, I wish I would have eaten out more. Right?
If only I could have got that Five Guys burger and fries that day.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
life would be so different.
Yeah. And so I think it's knowing, helping people in that capacity. And I have another analogy in there about the $10,000 Coke. How much does a Coke a day save you or prevent you from accumulating? And, I'm not the type of person that should say, don't enjoy life, only save, right? That's not right either. But again, if a person does have a desire to save for something, and then they have the mentality that I don't think I make enough, then, I think what we have to do is say, well, what are we spending money on that's not going to give you the rewards that you can go without, that's going to allow you to save the money you need to save? And it's usually pretty easy, because all Americans usually waste a lot of money on things that we probably don't need.
Yeah, it's so true. So what
I think the biggest though impact that I have found is taxes. So I think helping people grow their wealth strategically and giving them so that Uncle Sam can, I would say, not get paid more than they need. Exactly. What I have found is the largest impact and the biggest win I can give to somebody. And so I did not get my, it's a quick story as far as when I had my mentality changed. I was 37. And so I was already, one would consider a certified financial planner. One would say that I should have known all those things. But I formed a study group of advisors throughout the US. And just think of a mastermind group. And my goal was to share ideas and best practices with other successful advisors in the country. And from that, I was able to form a group of 6 firms located from LA, Seattle, Minneapolis, Denver, and Nashville. And I'll never forget when Rich Stewart out of Seattle was up on a whiteboard, and he is going, I'm going to show you how to take money out of an IRA and not pay taxes on it. And I was like, well, that can't happen. And so it was weird that I had my mind changed, or blown. I came back, I have a partnership with a tax professional, CPA, for over 20 years. And so I said, we need some time away, and I just need to throw out some what if scenarios for you. And from that, the bucket strategy, I would say, was kind of born, as far as thinking about, okay, the 3 buckets that I can save in and how that money is taxed. And when you combine the 3 together, you can have a significant win. And I have examples in the book as far as how a person could have in retirement $100,000, $120,000 of income to live on, and only pay $1,400 in taxes. And so how can you, that's a win, right? When I can normally, I think I'd pay 20 to 30% in taxes, well, versus 1.5%. And so that's when I kind of learned about the 0% tax rate for capital gains. for individuals in the 12% income bracket or below. And so that's kind of what I feel now is my one of the reasons I also wrote the book is I want people to save and have that, but I wasn't saving strategically. I was just saving. Yeah. But then at age 37, I learned that not only if I save strategically, then I'm going to have a huge win down the road, not only for my lifetime when I retire, but also for the wealth that my children might inherit. It's going to be more tax efficient for them and less money goes to the government. And so that's kind of what I think really individuals should be focusing on, saving early, like we said, and having a mentality of what motivates me to save, but then having a plan in place to save strategically.
Absolutely. And for sure, this idea of, it's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? And people think, okay, I'll save and not have that lunch. But if you can save and not pay it all out in taxes, that's even a better win.
Yeah, it really is. And when you and I were first saving, let's say, if we date ourselves a little bit, there was really only two buckets we could save in. One I would call pre-tax, where if I put it in, it lowered my taxes that I paid today. And then after tax, which is I had some excess money and I went and bought real estate with it, or I bought a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, and I let that grow. And I put it in my bank savings account. And I get a little 1099 interest statement, and say, okay, here's what you have to pay. But bucket three was introduced in 1996, and it was the formation of the Roth. So it's called a Roth IRA. And since then, that has evolved, and there's now Roth 401ks. So people that work for companies can contribute to those without income limits, and health savings accounts exist that didn't exist, back 20 years ago, not even 10 years ago, really. And so that's kind of once this new tax-free bucket, so that money you put in and you get no tax benefit today, but it's forever tax-free. The government can never tax it. And so that is now what you have to do is try to save money in each bucket.
Yeah.
So then you can control your tax rate in the future. And that's, I don't know, I'm not an economist, and I'm not saying that I'm a wizard. I bet simple-minded me say our government has some money problems, right?
You think?
And, Social Security is in financial trouble. Medicare, Medicaid is in financial trouble. And politicians generally don't like to spend less, right? Take things away. So I think they're going to raise revenue in the future. And the only way for them to do that is through taxes. And I was surprised. I didn't know this, again, until I was really studying tax codes. But did you know we've had a 90% tax rate in the US? We've had a 70% tax rate, and we've had a 50% tax rate. Only in the last 20 years, tax rates have been the lowest in our federal tax code's history. And so people aren't aware of that. And for them to gradually get back to that point, when did they do that? They did it when there was a depression. They did it when there was wars. They needed revenue. And so they would get it. And so I just want to help people grow their wealth so that in the future, at least they can maybe have a say in how much taxes they pay.
Yeah.
But if they only save all of their money in bucket one, and they want to buy a car that costs $30,000, when they take it out, they have to pay taxes. And so they'll have to withdraw 50 in order to net 30. And then they're going to gripe about Uncle Sam, right?
And can you blame them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So today, I mean, our time is just flying by so fast, and I think you're almost going to be late for your next meeting. So what would you say to somebody today who, let's say that they're average age, let's say they're, as you were, they're 37, they're 35, they're in that neighborhood, and they feel like have gotten a late start. They don't have anywhere near what they think they need to be able to someday retire. Like what kind of, or anybody, if you have some generic advice that would be for any person, but I'm just trying to help you to just pick an avatar. But we like, what's some good advice that we can all benefit from? I know you've been giving us some pearls right along, but maybe just a couple of kind of bullet points that people can focus on.
Yeah. First, I would say they need to find a financial advisor or financial planner they can entrust to. And one thing I helped with that is on my website, I'm going to have questions, knowing what I know, what would I ask an advisor? And so my mastermind group of the 6 advisors, I mentioned the 6 firms, they gave me their top 3 or 4 questions. So it's the best questions that could be asked if you do not have a friend or a family member that can refer you. So find somebody that's competent, find somebody that you can have confidence in. This questionnaire of what questions you could ask could help with that. And then you get a plan in place. And once you have a plan in place, then you can start progress, right? You getting a start in anything in life is usually the toughest, right? But once you get a start in place, you mentioned earlier you started a new workout routine, right? If you start, it's the hardest thing just to start. And so now you just keep momentum and then have regular meetings with them. So review every couple 6 months or once a year to say, okay, where were we at now? Are we on track? And then that way you can also update them on life changes, which we all have positively, right? Negatively, some chosen for us, some not chosen for us. Yes. And so that's where I would get a start is find somebody that you can entrust and then get a plan started and start directing money towards your financial goals.
So Lance, where and when can we get your book? I mean, it sounds like there's just a ton of great information in there.
Yeah, thank you. It's the website is lancebelline.net. So LANCEBELLINE.net. And so we'll have all the tools that I'm going to, like I said, the interview questionnaire, it's an asset organizer, which is going to say, well, what monies that I have today, what buckets do they fall in? Because you have to, I talked about those 3 buckets. You need to identify where you're at today and therefore how you should start saving, right, to have the correct bucket mix in the future. So all these tools will be there. The book will be coming out this fall. And I think it will hit bookstores in October or November, but I will have that. It's at the public. I just got all the publisher, the endorsements and everything that need to be done. So it's like, I have the innards of the book, which is fun. It's more looks like a digital book, but the hard copy will come out in the fall.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, congratulations on the book. I know that's no small feat to put a book together. And
it was more than what I was thinking. I'll be honest.
Right. Exactly. Because you can write it and then you read it and you're like, not good. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah. I must have edited mine like 7, 8, 10 times. And then I gave it to someone to edit and they brought back changes. And I'm like, oh, I got to do this again. Yeah. I mean, it was just like you say, it sounds so easy, right? Oh, let's write a book. I'll share what I know. I could talk for 2 hours, no problem, right?
Yeah.
No, just write that down. Excellent. So thank you very much for being with us, Lance. I love the talk about the taxes. That's my favorite part. Like, just keep it and don't be giving it away to Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is not playing responsibly with the money he already has. So let's just limit that for now. And all the links that you talked about, of course, will be in the show notes. Anything in passing, anything you wish I would have asked you that I did not, that I failed to think of?
No, I really have enjoyed the conversation, Christine. Thank you so much for having me. And we could do it again at any time. I'll be willing.
Excellent. Thanks, Lance. And thank you, listener, for listening. I know you have a choice of podcasts, 2 million podcasts you can choose from, but I know that this one with Lance has made an impact on you. And I know somebody else who can benefit from it. So please remember to share the link and share the wealth. And we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.